Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, how is your day? I hope you are in a very good health, very positive minds and soul, and full of blessing in this Friday Mubarak. So, first of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Wardah Hafizah from 4D, Department of English Education, UIN Jakarta. And today is a special day but not really special, but I can say it is special because today is different. Today I'm not going to do a novel review, just reviews, but I'm going to review a textbook, which is a very useful textbook related to children because I love children. And I'm going to review a textbook with the title, let me share it with you. Big Ideas for Little Kids, Teaching Philosophy Through Children's Literature. This book is written by Thomas E. Wartenberg, published by Rowman and Littlefield Education on September 15, 2009, and I will tell you more a little bit information about the author. The author is Thomas E. Wartenberg. He is a professor of philosophy at Mount Holyoke College and has been working with teachers on teaching philosophy for children for over a decade. And he is a member of the American Philosophical Association Committee on Pre-College Instruction in Philosophy, of course. And among his other books are Existentialism and Thinking on Screen. So let's go back to the book. The book has 164 pages with 4 parts and about 17 chapters inside. And I will make this review structure by first explaining the contents of each chapter. And at the end of the video, I will giving my opinion about the book, whether I like or dislike, both criticism and suggestion. So just like what I said, there is 4 parts in this book. So I will start with the part 1, Teaching Philosophy in Elementary Schools. And there is 4 chapters inside this part. I will start with the chapter 1, Natural Born Philosophers. In this chapter, it will discuss about what the philosopher's perspective on children who were born as a natural-born philosophers and the aspects of their characters that can be seen and built on them. The chapter 2 is How I Became a Children's Philosophy Teacher. In this chapter, it will discuss about the background of the author who has become a children's philosophy teacher and how the author got involved in teaching philosophy to young children. The chapter 3 is Learner-Centered Teaching. In this chapter, it will discuss about the learner-centered teaching applied in the classroom. This chapter also provides the reader about design, procedure, and techniques used in this method, learner-centered teaching. So, the chapter 4 is The Game of Philosophy. Sounds interesting. Let us see. In this chapter, it will discuss about an analogy between philosophical discussion and a game. Interesting. This chapter would give an example of game and the rules and how it can produce philosophical thinking in children. It's really interesting. Let's go to the part 2. Part 2 is Preparing to Teach. Preparing to Teach. It has 3 chapters inside. The chapter 5 is the Elementary School's Introduction to Philosophy course. In this chapter, it will discuss about the materials needed to teach an introduction to philosophy course to elementary school children. And this chapter would give a general idea of what introduction to philosophy course is like and how to help the children require them. And chapter 6 is Preparing a Lesson Plan. In this chapter, it will discuss about what crucial is to preparing to lead a philosophical discussion of a children's book and some suggestions how to get ready with it. And this chapter would also give some information about the most crucial preparation in developing a lesson plan in the classroom. It's really useful book. The chapter 7, Leading a Philosophical Discussion. In this chapter, it will discuss about how leading a philosophical discussion in class and what the perspective of teacher and children when it happened. And this chapter would also provide some issue and advice for leading a philosophical discussion. Move to the part 3. Part 3 is the stories. And it has 8 chapters inside. We start from the chapter 8, Dragons and Giants Teaching Ethics. In this chapter, it will discuss about what the main focus of teaching ethics and how it is important for children. And in exploring the issue, this chapter would showing how it works with using dragon and giant story and having a discussion with children about that story. It sounds interesting. In chapter 9, Frederick, teaching social and political philosophy. In this chapter, it will discuss about why teaching social and political philosophy is needed and what example issue about social and political philosophy in the most common problem. And this chapter would also show us what's Frederick's perspective about the topic and the central issue that Frederick raises. And we move to chapter 10, the important book, Teaching Metaphysics. And in this chapter, it will discuss about what is teaching metaphysics and how it works in a philosophical discipline. And this chapter would also show the importance of book in teaching metaphysics and how it influences children's philosophical thinking. So we move to the chapter 11, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, Teaching the Philosophy of Mind. In this chapter, it will discuss about the philosophy of mind affected children and what are the most possible important issues in teaching the philosophy of mind. And this chapter would also show us the effects of using the Wonderful Wizard of Oz story in the children's philosophical thinking. And we move to the chapter 12, The Giving Tree, Teaching Environmental Philosophy. In this chapter, it will discuss about how teaching environmental philosophy works and the result of using the Giving Tree story related to children's understanding about the environmental philosophy. So we move to chapter 13, Maurice the Mouse, Teaching Epistemology. In this chapter, it will discuss about how teaching epistemology works and its relationship with a Maurice the Mouse character in terms of the epistemologist. And this chapter would also explain the philosophical issue raised by Maurice the Mouse to know how it can influence the way children's thinking. And we move to the chapter 14, Novel Bunny, Teaching the Philosophy of Language. In this chapter, it will discuss about how teaching the philosophy of language works. And this chapter would also raise a Novel Bunny character to begin discussion with children related to teach the philosophy of language. It's more and more interesting. And the chapter 15, we have Emily's Art, Teaching Aesthetics. In this chapter, it will discuss about how teaching aesthetics works with using Emily's art in discussion with children to think about that issue of artistic evaluation to trying evaluate the artworks. So, we move to the last part, part 4, Implication. In this part, it has 2 chapters. Chapter 16, Suggested Follow-up Activities After Philosophy Discussion. In this chapter, it will discuss about kind of activities and how to prepare that follow-up activities after philosophy discussion with some session with students in the classrooms. And the last chapter is Conclusion. In this chapter, it will discuss about the main goal of the book to help teacher bring philosophy to the lives of elementary school children. So guys, I think big ideas for little kids includes everything a teacher, a parent, a college student needs to teach philosophy to elementary school children from picture books. And I quite love this book. The book written in a clear and accessible style, and the book explains why it is important to allow young children access to philosophy during primary school. And Mr. Wattenberg also gave advice on how to construct a learner-centered classroom and in which children discuss philosophical issues with one another as they respond to open-ended questions by saying whether they agree or disagree with what others have said. And also the book is written for elementary school teachers, I guess so. It is complete with lesson plans, and it's so complex but applies to anyone who works with children. And however, two things bothered me, and the first one is Mr. Wattenberg spent half the book trying to convince readers that young children are capable of philosophical discussion, But if you guys don't believe that yet, you probably won't pick up the book. And the second one is he constantly reassured teachers that teachers are capable of teaching philosophy, as if Mr. Waterberg assumed that they would all be very intimidated by the prospect of philosophy in the future. Some elementary school teachers are highly competent and confident individuals who are not afraid of the word philosophy itself. That looks very condescending. So, however, it did make me more aware of children's thought process. I'm very inspired from the content of the book, and it was a good reminder to take children's observation and questions in the class seriously rather than, just help listening to them and while I was trying to do something else. And I think the word philosophy itself is rarely heard by all of us, especially for children. So it's really interesting to learn the book more. So I think it would be better for the author to add some pictures in each chapters, because actually the pictures that I show you in this video are searched from Google. So thanks Google. I did it to make it easier for my listeners and my viewers to understand what I'm saying. And except the cover of the book is an original image actually. So overall, I like and enjoy the book very much, and would be very happy to be able to recommend it to elementary school teachers and the college students like me and like my friends to read it. So don't hesitate. If you are interested, it would be very much better to read by yourself and find many lessons and new things in it for your understanding and knowledge about philosophy itself. So guys, I think I had already explained all of the contents and many information about the book. So I think this is the time for me to closing this video. Thank you so much for watching, and see you. Stay happy, stay healthy, and stay positive. Bye. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.